What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a special Saturday edition of Tournament Tactics. Christmas week, Saturday special, the 12 days of Footballicus continues, Bobbywow. We got a three-game.
Thank God, too, right? Thank the Lord. We can cleanse the palate here a little.
There can be no more after last night's debacle. The worst game ever. What? But the Bears are disgusting to watch. Make me nauseous. Sick
Bears are who we thought they were.
Yeah, and by the way, so is Seattle. Come on, going in there looking like that.
Yeah,
looking like that. Well, it doesn't matter, Bobby. Wow, we got a whole 3-gamer to break down here. Some interesting sort of situations that we're waiting on, especially I think the running back situation for Arizona with Connor. Is he healthy? Is he not? If he's not, who's in? Is Trey Benson healthy if Connor's not healthy? What if he's not healthy? So that whole situation has things almost on pause a little bit. It's hard to make a lot of decisions. It's just that one thing.
Yep.
Also, Gus Edwards. Oh, is he officially out? Oh, official.
It's officially official.
The Laboose. Gus Edwards officially out. That will raise up the Kamani Vidal to ungodly ownership levels, which is fun. I like that. I'm good with that. That's an all-in play, Bobbywow. The first one of the Saturday only. All in.
All in, huh?
All in.
Wow.
In fairness, I was all in on Charbonnet last night. Didn't realize that the score was going to be 6-3.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
But I'm all in. Yeah, we're locking and loading that one. Again, before we jump in, congrats again to Jay Moore. Bro. First place, second place. What is this? Hold on. I got a song about this. First place, second place. I want to play the song. It's a very long song. It's too long of a song.
Got the best coaches in the game. We really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat with it.
All right. I won't. But it's worth it. First place, second place, 5th, 8th, 20. Got too many helmets. Got blurred vision. There's too many.
That's JMO 2 times right there. He earned it. He earned the nickname.
Got to get the wins.
Yep.
Yeah. So good stuff, Jay Moore.
Yeah, that was crazy. I want to go back real quick to the Gus Edwards thing because J.K. Dobbins is still a question mark. Like he could play.
What if J.K. Dobbins comes back? That messes that whole thing up. So you're right. There are situations here to deal with. I wanted to do this from the eye of the prop-based projections a little bit. We can get a look at them. We don't have our ownerships published yet, but I did get a sneak preview at some ownerships to get an idea of what the industry is thinking. And there is no clarity, certainly at the QB spot. All of these quarterbacks are going to be owned right at about 70%. The two that kind of come in slightly under are going to be primarily Drake May, which I don't even know if I agree with it. But it's primarily Drake May. You could see by his project and Stafford. Those are the two that are going to come in slightly below the field. But you have some perennial disappointing quarterbacks here. We've got Joe Burrow, who's been spectacular, but priced significantly above this group. Bo Nix has been really good, and he has what is considered to be the best matchup. Like the Bengals.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's like the worst defense on the slate in terms of allowing points to quarterbacks. So, I mean, we can get through this. Let's talk about these quarterbacks. And again, I'm looking at the prop projections. Bo Nix pops. Bo Nix is popping.
He's popping. I mean, at first glance, what stands out to me is number one, these quarterbacks are all relatively close projection-wise, like mostly within a couple of points. So, you got Drake May down there. There's a bigger difference between him and Burrow. But even Stafford, we don't have the prop projection up for him yet, but he projects pretty well against Arizona, who has been, vulnerable and weak at times against the pass. So not a ton of separation here.
No,
because you factor in Joe Burrow and the matchup. Theoretically, the Broncos really good pass defense. So it's very even across the board here. So I understand why ownerships are the way they are.
Yeah. With that being said, Joe Burrow is the man.
He's the man, and Jamar Chase is the man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's
But
no one. I don't. Pat Surtain ain't stopping Jamo Chase.
And they're still technically alive in the playoff hunt, right? The Bengals. That's a big deal.
The Bengals are alive, but not looking too great.
Well, they haven't been looking too great.
The Broncos are like, these teams have what to play for.
Yeah.
You've got a massive game between the Cardinals and the Rams. Let's take a look at these game totals. All right, so let's see which one stands out. I mean, listen, the odds makers are making it clear which ones to target. The odds makers are telling you very clearly that the Bengals game is the top game of this slate. This is the one to target. You have just great players to attack on both sides of this one. On the Bengals side, Jamar Chase is here. Chase Brown, T. Higgins has been really good. So, and they got the tight end there. And of course, Joe Burrow has been spectacular. And on the Broncos side, Bo Nix has been one of the, I'd call it the happy kind of surprises of the season. Nix was the 4th quarterback taken, I believe. He was 4th, maybe 5th. He might have gone after Penix, actually, if I'm now remembering correctly. So he was the last quarterback taken in the draft. Apologies for getting that factoid wrong, going off of memory. Sorry. But yeah, he was the 5th one off the board, and he's had a great year, runs a little bit, not as much as you'd like, but runs a little bit. Just it looks like the part of an NFL quarterback. So everything about that game is popping. 50-point total. It is in the right environment at the Bengals. We don't want to be at Denver. Sometimes those games get a little crazy. Now, do you know of any weather situations that we got to worry about in Cincinnati? Seems like a place where bad weather is.
I have not checked on that, but I can check on that.
Yeah, chat as well. Guys, let us know in the chat if let us know in the chat if you're hearing of any weather. I have not checked the weather either. Sorry, but I don't know of anything.
Nothing crazy tomorrow. Nope.
Okay.
Cloudy
good.
and 60, it looks like.
Oh, beautiful day. Beautiful day for football. Love to hear that. So we have that game. Really attractive. Then, of course, the divisional matchup. Cardinals at the Rams. Rams at home. I like the Rams at home better. We'll go on the road sometimes.
I love the Rams at home.
Yeah, I like the Rams. The Rams are heavy favorites here. Should do a lot of scoring. Kyren Williams continues to not catch any passes. Could this be the game? They don't throw to him. We're going to load up on.
It doesn't make sense. I make that make sense, Kevin, please.
I don't know why. The pattern is weird. I think they were throwing to him a lot more because there were no pass catchers. That's why. I mean, the reason we went from 5 targets a game early in the season that no one was healthy to now 0, 0, 1, 2, 1, 0. He's become Nick Chubb.
Wow.
He is. It's Nick Chubb. He gets a lot of volume. It's great. He scores 2 touchdowns. He's in the nut. Last week he got 122 yards. So like he got 122 yards, got the touchdown. But even then, at 7K, 7, 14, 21, 28, 29 is the required tournament winning score. He got a 22. Now, again, we can. This is a 3-game slate. We don't need a 4X anymore. We can kind of settle for your 3X. 3X wins it. By the way, we always get this.
Yeah, that gets it done right there.
3X gets it done on a 2-game slate. Not 4. But even a 3X. So you're looking at about a 21 plus for Kyren, which means, yeah, he's got to cross 100 and get the touchdown to get there without any passing game. It's weird. It's weird. So, but he's going to be about 55, 60% owned. The reason I mentioned it, this guy's going to be massive ownership. So it's a consideration. Do we want to pay up for Kyren? We'll see. Back to these other games, at quarterback, Justin Herbert, 20% owned. How many times has Justin Herbert put up a score that was even relevant this season?
Once this season. Once.
Let's take a look. Right? Herbert, who will be as high owned as anybody on the slate. Yeah, he's coming off a 23.
I take it back. Twice. So last week.
Yeah. So he's got a 23. 25 and 24. By the way, these were barely relevant, to be clear. These were not like, oh my God, I didn't play Herbert, I didn't win this week. But those were main slate scores. But his best scores.
Correct. Three scores that would definitely, be enough on a slate like this.
Yeah,
potentially
should be enough on a slate like this. So he's getting that done. Now, this is a great matchup, but the flip side is this, could easily be Kamani/Dobbins getting touchdowns. The coach wants to run the football kind of game against or it could be a defense game against a Patriots team that's just okay.
Yeah, look at that rushing numbers for him. That's kind of intriguing to me. 8 attempts last week for 28 yards.
Must-win game. I mean, that was crazy. That was by the way, last week's game was an
awesome game.
That was the perfect storm. We are not going to see perfect storm games like that most weeks. That was the perfect storm for the Chargers to produce a high output for the quarterback.
True, but I also do think we did see the Chargers move away from the run a little bit without Gus Edwards. They don't have that ground and pound guys. So if Dobbins is out, I would kind of be surprised if he plays at this point. If he is out, I do think that is a little bit of a boost for Herbert too. So
yeah, but the one who's the big winner is definitely going to be all in Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, what has he done? That's all in Vidal is.
Can you imagine we have to go all in on?
That's why Herbert's throwing the ball more.
Maybe we're gonna have to go all in on a guy who's got a.
We don't have to go all in. Don't box yourself in here.
All right, fine. All in.
No need yet.
I'm all in. No, I'm kidding. All right. So yeah, quarterback position. Just a quick overview here. Everybody likes to understand like what kind of stacks to create. I think all of these guys are worthy of double stacking, except for maybe Kyler.
I will not limit myself on a 3-game slate with stack with 2. It will be stack with 1 wide receiver, at least 1 wide receiver for these guys, for Burrow, because they can get, they can throw a couple touchdown passes. They can run one in. They could, throw a pass to the tight end, touchdown pass, dump one off to Chase Brown and get there. So I don't want to eliminate them by automatically adding two guys.
Fair. I mean, I'm looking, you have to, one of the things I like to do when I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to stack these guys, and I'm definitely attacking the slate and using, I feel like I'm not able to eliminate even one of these quarterbacks. Like I don't think you should. I actually kind of think they're all going to score similar. Anyway, I don't even think the quarterback is what's going to distinguish us on this one. Yeah, maybe it's just with 1 wide receiver. Like if you look at Stafford, it's either, are you really wanting to Kupp and Puka in the same lineup? Like, yeah, kind of, but maybe not. Demarcus Robinson.
Probably not. Yeah, and you know who I like with Stafford? You're gonna frown at this, but Higbee. I like Tyler Higbee a little bit.
I actually do. I think actually for me, Stafford is going to be double stacked. I am going to limit that. I'm going to limit it.
No way. I'm not at that salary. I'm out on that.
I'm doing it. Same thing with May. Like these guys.
Stafford could throw touchdown passes to 4 different people easily.
Yes, he could. But I want to have it. Like if Demarcus Robinson catches a touchdown, I want to have that. And I won't have it if I don't do that. If I don't force it, I'm not going to end up with any Demarcus Robinson or Higbee, for example. Like I won't get those guys unless I'm forcing a double stack.
If you could, if you did the correlation boost, that's where
correlation. It could work with the correlation. It's kind of the same thing.
Yep.
It's 2 of one, one of the other, right? Yeah. So that'll work. Bo Nix, I think, is a guy that you could probably not double stack and be okay with it. He does run a little bit. Kyler Murray the same way. He runs a little bit more than the other ones. Most of Kyler Murray's great games have come when he's run the football. Like when Kyler Murray scores a 28. By the way, you can see it here. When Kyler Murray puts up a 28, when he has a tournament-worthy score, there's almost always a rushing touchdown in there. Yeah, see it? Yeah, 2 rushing touchdowns in this 28. Got a 25er without it, but even this 21 rushing touchdown here, 25er rushing touchdown there. Oh, there's a 28 without one, so he has done it before. There you go. That Rams game where they won 41-0. By the way, remember that? So long ago. The main reason is you're just going to play a lot of these wide receivers anyway. So either stack with 1 or stack with 2 or stack with 1 and a heavy boost to kind of create those correlations. That works too. Running back group. Let's take a look at this through the eyes of the domination station and the prop projections and see who has a prop, first of all. So, yeah, Chase Brown, hard to ignore. Look at Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams got the big props for this game, Bobby.
Yes, he does. Yeah,
his prop,
not too shabby.
He props out above Chase Brown. What?
Barely. I mean, just barely. And they're basically the same price.
Yeah, that's fair. But the ownership is really different.
He's 0.1, 0.15.
You know what? I want to see what the fuck this guy's props are. Hold on. I want to actually see the numbers because that actually is throwing me for a loop here. Let me check the numbers.
Not that different.
Yeah. Running back. Give me the running back group. Okay. So, because is Kyren getting a receptions prop? Yeah, there it is. All right. So, Kyren, 2 receptions, 10 receiving yards is what his prop is. So that's where that's coming from. And Chase Brown, 4 receptions, 28 receiving yards. Kyren has a much higher overall touchdown equity prop here. That's what's really driving this. Kyren is propping for 1.2 touchdowns, where Chase Brown is 0.8 touchdowns. That's driving that difference in the projection, really. And you could see here it's significantly better for Kyren on FanDuel relative to DraftKings. You see that? Yeah,
to me, I mean, this communicates maybe it's setting up for a play the top 2 running backs and fade Vidal if Dobbins is out. That's what
you don't
this
have
is
to fade it.
To me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not faded. By the way, Vidal just no projection. No, you're not fading Vidal. If Vidal is getting the solo, let me be very clear on this because this is a Bobbywow. No,
I will not be all in on Vidal.
I know you're not. So Bobbywow is making it very clear he's not going to be all in on Kamani Vidal. And let me be clear on what I'm going to do. If Kamani Vidal is starting for the Chargers as a favorite, and there is no J.K. Dobbin vulture waiting in the wings, right? Gus is already out. There's no other player on the Chargers that I know of that has a brand name as a running back. Not one.
Can I tell you what Kamani Vidal scored last week?
I know it was crap. I have the game log here.
He scored 2.4 points. Can I also tell you what Hassan Haskins scored? He scored 12 points.
Haskins is the backup. Wait a second here. All right, hold on. There is a backup. Yeah, Haskins scored 12. He got a miracle touchdown on a pass reception. You cannot. Here, hold on.
He's going to be in the game. I'm just telling you. He's going to be in the game, and he's catching passes. That's not like this is a blowout and Haskins came in. No, they're utilizing him out of the backfield as a pass catcher.
I do get sucked into these a lot.
You're getting sucked in. I'm
just
saying,
in a lot. I do get sucked
right,
in.
But
Patrick Taylor got me. Patrick Taylor. Let's see what the prop is before we make a final decision. Yeah, maybe Haskins, a Michigan guy. Yeah, X Factor King is saying Haskins too. So, yeah, risky.
It doesn't have to be all in here. I think you take a stand. You could take a stand either way. That's what I would do. But I wouldn't go all in or completely fade.
I'll definitely have exposure.
Take a stand either way.
This. It's just such a good matchup though. At New England, they can't stop the run. The team wants to run the football. But you're right, because Haskins is there, acting as the vulture.
I mean, that's insane. He got 5 carries last week. That's bad. That's brutal.
Well, Gus Edwards played the whole week. Gus Edwards was not hurt.
Did he play the whole game? I thought he got hurt.
No, he had a great game, scored 2 touchdowns. He got hurt after. This is not what you're saying. Like Gus played the whole game last week. There was not, he got hurt at the end.
I guess what I'm saying is if Gus played the whole game, we saw a relative, significant split, even though it was only 2 receptions for Haskins, he still got time on the field as a pass catcher.
Yeah, I'm still leaning that Vidal will be a great play. Let me just be very clear on my stance here. I think he's going to be a great play tomorrow.
Okay.
I want the running back on the favored team. Hassan Haskins has been floating around the NFL for a long time. Like, again, I'm not in the coach's room. I don't know. This guy's been.
I'm not saying forever. Play Haskins. I'm just saying there's going to be more of a split than you think.
Yeah, there is some vulture risk here. You're right. That's fair.
Same with Charbonnet and McIntosh last night. We talked about
it.
There was more of a split than you think.
And you were right. You were pushing a lot of McIntosh, and McIntosh actually was the better scorer last night, just randomly. I think it was like just random luck more than volume, but it just is what happened.
Probably, yeah.
You know, it wasn't like he got more volume. It was more volume.
Not 6'3". Sharps is scoring much higher, but I just like to put that out in the airwaves. Like, as you're making decisions, you see Chase Brown and Kyron with such solid projections. Don't feel like you have to play the cheap chalk here.
That's fair. Continuing on through the running back position. So the big mystery of the slate is the James Conner situation. Isn't he? The whole Arizona running back thing is trending in the right direction, is what they're saying for Conner.
What would you put his? Let's say he plays. What would you put his in-game injury risk at?
Listen, this is a problem. This comes up all the time, and I wish I had a rule of thumb for these spots. So everybody, let's take a ride with me to memory lane. And I want you to think about how frequently we've seen a player Q-tag the day before a slate, trending towards this or that, looks like he may or may not, game time decision, and then he plays. And now your memory is probably going to go to the negative situations where you were like, I'm fading that shit, right? And then they go off. But that happens all the time. You fade it, and then they go off. And then I always tell myself, as a rule of thumb, ignore the Q tag if they play. If they're playing, assume they're fine and just ignore it. Is the re-injury risk high? Fuck yeah. They're not even putting a prop on this guy right now. Yeah, the injury risk is high. At the same time, I don't think it's that great of a matchup on the road at the Rams as an underdog.
That's what I was going to mention, is the Rams, outside of Saquon Barkley's, freak show week in week 12, they've been really good against the run for, the second half of the season. Very good. It's not like a slam dunk that even if Connor's fully healthy that he smashes.
Yeah.
But the Terminator's been as good as he's been in a while. I have to admit.
He's been great. This has been a great year for him. But yes, I mean, look at this trio of games. He's been spectacular. But yeah, it's not exactly a spot we would be looking to attack at 7,500. I think the price is high for Connor. I think probably the other expensive running backs are a little bit better in terms of their matchup. They're both favorites. Connor is an underdog. I want the favored. I mean, if you have a choice between Kyron Williams and James Conner, I think generally the better choice here would be Kyron if they just threw to him a little bit.
Kyron's certainly safer.
Yeah. Other running back on the slate to address. First, you have the Denver situation, which is gross. I don't know what to do. You know that Javonte got 11 targets last week?
I think Jaleel was out.
Something happened last week that caused this, but yeah, I mean, even Jaleel out or not,
because Jaleel was getting targeted.
He was out last week, yes, and he usually is in there for those plays. But what they didn't give Javonte was any of like the running work. He still only got 4 carries. So
Estime is the third guy in that ugly backfield, right?
It's just gross. He got the carries, no targets.
Got the touchdown.
Estime,
wow.
The whole thing is gross. I actually think this is the ugliest situation. It almost ruins the slate. But in some ways, all of these guys are just probably a fade.
God, one of these guys, if we fade them, one of them's gonna end up in the optimal lineup.
Usually, when you fade, somebody ends up in. Maybe Jaleel McLaughlin is the best of them.
There's no way we could say with any confidence.
I wish
anyone's better than anyone.
I really do.
It has been so different week to week. It's insane.
I know.
And Sean Payton is the worst. He's the worst with stuff like this because he truly is unpredictable.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, the snap percentage last week, Javonte 55%. No, Jaleel played. Oh no, he didn't play. So last week they gave it to Blake Watson. Yeah, even with Jaleel out, that's funny. Even with Jaleel, well, let me put my face out of the way here so everybody can see this. But last week, even with Jaleel McLaughlin out, he got the 0. The snaps went to Blake Watson. Like, this guy wants to play 4 guys or 3 different running backs no matter what.
It's infuriating.
You can't trust these guys.
No, absolutely not.
I'm fading the whole thing.
The only play them. I would say keep them in your player pool if you're running 150 lineups, but limit it to 1 only. Say only 1 at most in all your lineups, and obviously like, very limited exposure. But other than that, outside of 150, I wouldn't touch them.
Gross. Sickening. You want to be surprised by something?
Please.
Mike Gesicki. You know how we talk about Mike Gesicki is going to be a popular play this week? This is what I find amusing. Gesicki will be a popular tight end because there's only 3 or 4 viable tight ends available on the slate. So Gesicki will wind up at 25% owned. When T. Higgins played last week, Gesicki's snap count went down to 33%. Barely on the field. Effectively a third amount of snaps.
But even in Gesicki's big games, this is the snap count he's seeing. Like, he's just a guy that comes in and he will randomly get targeted a bunch.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play that many snaps. I think I want to say like the biggest game he had this year, he was at a similar snap count, like 35-40%, but he ended up getting targeted on like half of the snaps that he was.
Yeah, but recall, I believe T. Higgins was out for that game. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
yes, that's true too.
When T is in the game, Gesicki's like usage just goes down significantly, and it's just something to be aware of, because the reason I mention it is because I like to mention players that we would be completely off if it wasn't a 3-game slate, and remind you that we would be completely off of this if this wasn't a 3-game slate. We wouldn't even be thinking about that turd.
Hudson is doubtful. He's not going to play. He hasn't practiced.
He's out.
He's out. He's going to be out.
Sample's not a good play either, Soups. Sample's not a good play. Sample never does shit. He's just there.
Price. I mean, at price,
fine, but like
he would have been.
He might vulture. So I don't know. I don't think that's a good play either. I don't think that's a good play either.
I think it's more to say, Gesicki's just even more volatile and risky because Sample does get involved a little bit.
Yeah. Running backs. I think that pretty much covers though our running back spot here.
One thing to mention for me is that we saw a shift for the Patriots last week where Antonio Gibson got the bulk of the run for the first time in a while at running back.
Well, let's take that. That is an interesting angle. Let's take a look at that here. Let's take a look at the snap count and see what happened there. That assumes
you're on the wrong way here.
I can find a game.
There we go.
Yeah, here we go. Let's take a look at that. So, okay. Ooh, that is interesting. Were the Patriots getting their asses beat last week, like in a biblical way?
In a biblical way.
It could have been. Tis the season. Oh, Ramondre Kanger saying Ramondre fumbled in that one. Okay, so they're saying Ramondre fumbled, and they were like, all right, enough with that. And he's had some fumbling issues this year.
Yes, he has.
So they were like, enough with that, and they played a Gibson. Will that continue?
If it was Belichick, yeah, probably would have. It's hard to say, though, in this case. I mean, both guys are gross, but it was a competitive game, and they went right to Gibson. No questions asked. So I would just say
my guess is
with caution.
Yeah, proceed with caution is the best way to go, because I think if he's there and if he's not fumbling, it's fine. Like, just know that Ramondre is a fumble away probably from not getting any. Coach says, Willie Barron says Gibson is taking over. Getting some agreement there. So, hey.
Right, the source. I want to, but that'd be interesting. Yeah, but again, both Gibson has been horrible. He had 10 rushing attempts, but, for 28 yards. He's been bad.
Catches also being Saturday, the Chargers reports that Coach Gerard Mayo indicated that it's a possibility that the team could start Gibson over Stevenson in Week 17. They did that once before, and then Stevenson came in the second play of the game and went bonkers, if you guys remember.
Yep.
They did this earlier this year. So I'm not going to get sucked in by any of that cockamamie bullshit. I just don't think coaches punish players that hard for fumbling. They want to show, I'm a coach, but
again, is this another implication with 150 lineups only? Like, I will have Gibson in my player pool because of this, a few shares. But I don't really like 150. I wouldn't touch. Again, I wouldn't touch either guy. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't really care for these running backs anyway. This is another thing, guys. We want to target favored running backs. Let's not allow the fact that it's a short slate to change the fundamental way that we approach DFS and players that are in a good spot. We want to target running backs that are the favorite in their game. as much as possible. I mean, Burns is here screaming it on the Shark Lab show every freaking week that those are the running backs who end up in the winning lineup.
Yeah.
You got to take favorites. So let's stick with that. Allow us to fade some of these spots that don't look that good. All right, let's jump over to the wide receiver group, Bobbywow, and let's talk through some of these players. I mean, you've got a stud group. You've got a two-person sort of super stud crew here, Jamar Chase and Puka. It's going to be hard to afford both of them in any given lineup. I tend to think they're both spectacular. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're both spectacular.
I'll give you some ownership numbers on these guys. At this point, looks like Chase. So looks like Puka is coming in the highest, closer to 50%, with Chase down in the pack at about 35% with the rest of them, which is, I would say, weird for me.
I think generally people are afraid of the matchup a little bit against Denver. They see Arizona. They think that's a much better matchup for Puka. And he's had some really good games out, but I feel like Puka struggled either last week or the week before.
Yeah, no, Puka's fine. Yeah, he might have a down game here and there, but not for any reason of his own. Eight targets, 7 receptions, 9 targets.
Doesn't get it done.
He didn't put this monster number on there, but it didn't matter. The volume remains. I think Puka is lock button for 8 to 14 targets like every single game at this point. And 8 targets sometimes gets him a 17, and 8 targets sometimes gets him a 45. Like, you don't know what it's going to lead to. All we can really hope for is the volume is there. What will happen with the volume? That's variance, but like the volume's there. You did the right thing. I love Puka, love Chase.
Yep.
How to differentiate? I don't know. I think the reason the field is higher on Puka is going to be because Chase is going to see Pat Surtain. Oh, scary. Who cares? You think a cornerback is going to stop this guy? I don't think so. From there, you get the middling group. There's a 4-pack of wide receivers. T. Higgins, who's been actually fine lately, 11 targets. And T. Higgins is somebody who projects for maybe a higher target share with Surtain on the other guy. And then McConkey, Kupp, and Courtland Sutton. I feel like Courtland Sutton has been fool's gold, Bobbywow.
He has, and he's not scoring as well as people like. He's always a hot name in the chat. Yep. I just don't see what's so exciting about Courtland Sutton. Sure, he had a big week in week 12.
He had a little run of a couple of good games. So yeah, he's gotten it done. He's getting double-digit targets.
He is. Yeah.
6, 12, 18, 20. He'll need a 20. I think it's certainly a very good stack with Bo Nix guy. Yeah, and he's in the mix here, but I don't know. I like McConkey more, and maybe I'm biased.
I love McConkey more. I think the question is Sutton going to be chalky? Like, what the ownerships between those guys will really determine.
There's no difference. They're all going to be exactly the same. Every one of these guys is going to come in right around 33 to 36% ownership. All of them.
Yeah, to me, it's McConkey and Kupp 1A, 1B, and then Sutton C. I just don't.
Let's see 10. Let's see what the neutral observers thinks. Okay, ready?
Man, Kupp's prop is so bad.
Let's see what the neutrality says.
He's getting almost a point more than Sutton. McConkey is.
Sutton at 14.4. McConkey 15.2, Kupp 12.9, and so Higgins 15.5. Higgins the highest of them all,
which aligns with his price perfectly.
Yeah, he's the highest, most expensive, so that aligns nicely. That's right. Lad McConkey a solid second, 15.2.
If Dobbins is out, McConkey will be one of my highest exposures on the slate.
That makes sense. You know what? You want to hear something weird? One of the highest field exposures appears to be on Marvin Harrison. Oh, I see why. He's a full level cheaper than the rest of these guys. Yeah. There's a talent cliff that hits after Harrison. That's the problem. Okay, so I can't even count him with the rest of these guys. I think Sutton The shocking one for me here is Cooper Kupp at this low.
Me too. That is shocking. He's yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Quentin Johnston is probably going to run into elite cornerback play. What's the name of the elite corner on the Patriots? Sanchez? Is it? What's the name? I don't remember. But the Patriots do have an elite CB1 whose name is escaping me right now. Santiago, something like that.
If his name is escaping you, how elite could he be?
He's good. They but not that great. But like Gonzalez. Damn, I spit out like generic Hispanic sounding names, and it's Gonzalez.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's a tough look.
I don't know what to make of that, but Gonzalez is good. I think he's going to be on Quentin Johnston.
They don't need anyone on. They could leave him open.
He's just going to drop it anyway. So yeah, I mean, but he'll be on Quentin Johnston, which further increases the likelihood that somebody like that somebody like Ladd McConkey could get a couple extra looks in a game like that. So yeah, it makes you like McConkey a little bit more. Like the cornerback situation should push targets to T. Higgins and McConkey. Those are the guys that should benefit. Courtland Sutton gets the benefit of the Bengals defense, which is a defense you want to attack. All of these guys, good spots. And so I do think this middle ground is a good place to sort of plant your flag. Now, let's scroll to the bottom group, Bobbywow. And this is where a lot of times you're going to have to live in a slate like this. You've already said, hey, we like these pay up options at wide receiver and at running back. Well, you can't pay up everywhere. You gotta pay the price. If you're going to fuck around, you got to find out. Is that appropriate for this? Like fuck around with elite players, find out by having to play turds. I think it works. I think it works.
Who am I to judge?
Yeah, I think it works. Yeah, so Marvin Harrison Jr. getting a lot of love in the ownerships. And I think it makes sense because you're looking at, let's say you have 5,500 left. Marvin Harrison Jr., and then the alternates are Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer. Sorry for the, that's the sound that goes in my brain when I read their names.
Yeah.
And
the problem is, MHJ also deserves that sound.
Yeah, he does deserve that
sound.
So
atrociously bad.
Yeah, they all stink.
Do we have props on those guys yet?
There is a prop. Yeah, they're all getting props. So actually, they all have props.
Look at MHJ far and away.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston's not bad at 9.2. It's definitely the best of this crew, but significantly lower than Marvin Harrison.
Yeah,
MHJ is so much better than them. It's not even close. And then when we go down a little bit, Keyshawn Booty's coming off the big game. Like this dude had a smash game.
Those guys always pop a little bit for some reason. It's like the book doesn't know what to do with them.
Well, it's coming out of the good game. And DeMario Douglas, too. It's a good enough matchup for these Patriots wide receivers. They do pop a little bit. Devon Valley, no. Devon Valley is a stack. Like in your Knicks lineup, you want him as your secondary piece. These are great secondary pieces for the quarterback lineups.
I don't mind them as one-offs either. I think these are, if you need value to round out your lineup in a tournament, I don't mind taking Sean Valley.
So don't ignore Kendrick Bourne, by the way. I want to see the usage actually for the Patriots wide receivers. Now that we're here, that's an actual.
Bourne was on the field. He just didn't get targeted.
Yeah. Bourne is a guy who's had good games in his career. Don't ignore him. I'm going to say the word Bourne on this show so that if he smashes and at like 3% ownership, that everyone's going to be like, I was watching a show and I think that guy Geek was talking about Bourne and I didn't listen to him. And then they're going to be like, man, I should rewatch that show. That's marketing of the show, Bobbywow.
The name also is Josh Palmer.
Oh, stop. Now they're not going to want to watch the show because that's shitty name.
Oh, trust me. It doesn't give me. I don't. I'm just saying. Josh Palmer has been more involved lately. he's a guy that could score over, MHJ or Quentin Johnson. So I'll have some Josh Palmer shares, a little bit over the field on him. 6 targets last week.
Nah, screw that. Going to MHJ. Palmer stinks. He stinks. Hate that guy.
I do too. I don't hate him. I don't like him in fantasy.
I have that guy on a bunch of my best ball teams. Let me tell you something. He never shows up in the actual lineup, if you know what I'm saying. Like,
oh yeah,
he's not contributing at all.
It's true.
No contribution. No, just keep in mind that Born for 3,300 has a 70% snap count. He is on the field. He's a veteran guy. He's had big games in his career. He's had 20+ point games many times throughout his career. He's a big play wide receiver that no one will be on. That's the kind of spot that can win you the tournament. One $3,300 20-point score is going to be the difference between who wins and who loses on the slate. I guarantee it. That I will tell you will happen. That's going to happen, Bobby.
It's going to happen. It always does.
Some 20-point guy is going to hit in the 4 to 3K zone, and if you don't have him, you're not getting no money. That's what happens every time, including Keyshawn Boutte literally last week. That was that guy last week, and he's fine at 4K.
I love the call-outs, so I 2 of my favorites. Demarcus Robinson is one of them.
Yeah.
And the other guy that no one is going to touch that I think is really intriguing is Yoshivas. Dude, he finds a way to score touchdowns. It seems like he's 3,800.
Yep. Yeah. Could get there. This could be
could get there. 14.3 is better than Patrick Bourne has scored his whole life.
This could be the Watson. You got to find the Watson, the Justin Watson of this slate. You saw with Justin Watson, it only took 2 receptions for him to break the whole slate. By the way, I turned off the whole thing when he scored.
And by the way, someone in the chat called Justin Watson out.
Did they?
I don't remember who, but I remember seeing that name pop up. Someone be like, it's going to be Justin Watson.
It's got to be John Marchese. He nails it every single time. He always spits out a name. Like right now, the Marchese name is Mims. Let's 42 minutes, 22 seconds. That was on screen.
I think the moral of the story is don't be afraid to round out your lineup with one of these guys. Punt with one of these wide receivers.
Yeah, just cycle through it. Cycle through. All right. Tight end position. Tight end position is a tale of 2 names and a bunch of ne'er-do-wells. At the very top, Bobbywow, Trey McBride, Treasy McBreezy. Everybody loves White Lightning.
This is the perfect slate for him because he never pops on a main slate. He doesn't score enough typically, but a 3-gamer, man, it's a pretty safe bet that Treasy McBreezy is going to get there. Last week, though, I don't know how. It's physically impossible, I think, to score 5 points against the Panthers while his team put up 36.
It's classic. Get screwed. I actually think the best tight end play might be this guy right here at 4,200, the best mix of salary and likely targets. Look at the target numbers. Hunter Henry is like most weeks, 8 to 9 targets.
He's the WR1.
What's that?
He's the WR1.
Yeah. 8 to 9 targets most weeks for 4,200. If you tell me, if you can say, Kevin, I'll sign you up for 9 targets for a tight end for $4,200. You don't know the name, don't know the quarterback, don't know anything else. I would sign up for that all day. Yeah, the chat is saying revenge narrative, but
he's been very popular though the last couple of weeks, and I think he'll be very popular again.
His ownership is so at first check around 28%, second highest to it's not even that high. I don't think it's that much. By the way, Crapola, what's his name? Let me pull up. But I think Gesicki is not that different from that. No, he's lower. So yeah, Hunter Henry. It's going to be McBride the highest, Hunter Henry, and then Gesicki, Stone Smart,
which Will Dissly might play still. I don't think he's been ruled out either.
You even have to consider Austin Hooper. I hate to say it, but Austin Hooper's been involved too. It's not like this guy's not involved either. What if you double down? You ready for this? My crazy tight end idea. Just double down on on tight ends. You could even play both the Patriots guys. Crazy.
I mean, yeah, both have been more productive than all their wide receivers.
I mean, compared to Stone Smart, what has Stone Smart done?
Well, we can't play Stone Smart. I think Disley's going to play.
Disley looks like he's going to play. Now they write in letters because they miss me. Disley.
I think Disley could be the sneaky guy coming off the Q tag, missed the last couple of weeks. He's finally been practicing. He's been limited, but he's practicing. And he's had some solid games with Herbie.
Yeah. I don't like the Q tag. One thing I will say, though, overall for the slate, you know how most of the short slates, double tight end is like a really, really viable approach? I don't think it's as viable here today. It's something you can do, but I'll tell you, for the Monday, when was the last one? On Wednesday, I had almost 80% double tight end in my lineups. Like, it was almost all double tight end for me. This week, with all of that talent and sort of upside at the wide receiver position, sub 5K, I think there's enough that you don't need to. And with Vidal and a couple of running backs like Hassan Haskins that are acceptable plays under 5K as well, I don't think that the double tight end is as needed.
It's not, but man, like you get down here, you start seeing guys like Gesicki at 3,100, who has a high ceiling, very risky, but he's got as high of a ceiling as any of those wide receivers we talked about. We haven't seen in a while.
Gesicki has the upside, but again,
Hunter Henry at 4,200 is a better play than any of those wide receivers we talked about.
Yeah, I think Henry is in your lineup tomorrow.
I think Higbee is also in play. Stafford and Higbee. Look, I think there's something there. He had 2 targets. He played 30% of the snaps, maybe coming back from injury, but they targeted him in the end zone. And I think Higbee's going to be involved again. So he's certainly viable at 3,300.
I mean, listen, I like it too. I never loved Higbee, but he certainly was a volume guy. And it does seem to me that you're going to be watching this game if you took Cooper Kupp, right? And you're going to keep thinking it's Kupp that's catching that pass. And then you're going to look up and it's fucking Higbee. Like, oh, Cooper. Oh, shit. It's Higbee again. They look the same.
I mean, it would be, Higbee or Bourne, Higbee or Dortch, Higbee or Darius Davis. Like, it could be a double tight end week again.
Yeah, I could see it.
Just not as much of a smash.
The only one I'm comfortable saying not to play at all.
Me too.
Is Hayden Hurst.
Don't play Hayden Hurst, please.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable saying let's fade that fucker.
But no, but he's right. He did get targets. Primarily because Disley was out and Stone Smart isn't a TE1. So with Disley probably coming back, I won't touch Hayden Hurst.
Yeah. That's it for tight ends. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I don't have any other. I mean, Troutman has seen a target or two. I don't care. That's going to be the thing that gets me. That'll be the thing. Troutman has had a game or two that's been okay.
I'd rather punt with one of the wide receivers over Troutman. I think they could.
Yeah,
they did the same chance of getting a 0, but the wide receivers have a much higher ceiling.
Give me some Kendrick Bourne. You're so forlorn with Bourne, little Bourne.
Man, your love for Vidal and Bourne, you're either going to win $1 million this week or you're going to lose everything.
No, I'm not playing that much of it. I'm just mentioning there's a guy for 3,200 that's got 20-point upside. Kamani is best ball bro talk though. Everybody's right about that. Kamani Vidal is from the preseason. In the preseason, we all thought J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, what do those guys do all the time? They get hurt. They have a long history of being hurt. We thought Kamani would be leading our teams to championship glory weeks 10 through 18. It didn't happen. So now I'm trying to make it happen.
Yeah. He was a sleeper. He was one of a few sleepers that was really popular.
Yeah.
Estime as well for the.
Yeah. These are all names from the offseason. We talked all the positions. Let's just real quick. Thoughts on tight end? I like, on defense here, and then we'll put a lineup together, Bobby. We'll do a lineup at the end of this. But at defense, the best one got to be the Chargers, but you got to pay for it.
Same as usual for me. I'm gonna mix all these guys in. No like standout for me. I'll have a mix. They'll all be in my player pool.
I think every single defense here is viable.
I think the Chargers are probably the best. If you're looking to play a defense in cash, it's probably the Chargers or the Bengals. But I'll have it probably a relatively even mix of all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the Cardinals doing well. You could see the Patriots, even at that cheap price, doing okay at home.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess. Denver has a good real-life defense, but they're up against a nasty, nasty Bengals team. Bengals are up against the rookie quarterback, and who knows? So there's really arguments for everything, including, the Arizona sometimes plays like shit, and the Rams could slow them down. Plus, we've just seen like the last 6 games in the NFL where teams scored a 0 or a 2. I don't know what the hell went on. Like, we've seen like 5 games in a row of horrible, horrible offense. It's almost like these guys are on vacation. We got 2 more weeks, motherfuckers.
Maybe the best way to put it for me is if your gut is on a player that you can't get to unless you drop down defense, always drop down. Yeah. Always pay down for the defense and get that player in your lineup, especially on a slate like this.
By the way, for the starting lineup that we're going to build here, I'm just going with Patriots. I'm going to play the cheapest one.
Why not?
Get me a 6. I have so much more forgiveness here. If they get a 3 and the other ones get a 6 or a 7, I'm still in the nuts. It's so forgiving when you pay all the way down to the cheapest one, unless one of the defenses puts up a 15 and then you're done.
Right. I mean, of course, but
tight end, I'm going straight. I just want to start this lineup by plugging in Henry. Like the most obvious plays at every position. Give me Hunter Henry. Give me Patriots defense. Running back, we got to play probably Chase Brown, Kyron or Brown. Both? It's both.
It's both for me.
Yeah. It's both of these guys. Fine. Wide receivers. I'm going to start like in the middle zone here. Just like you love Lad McConkey. I love Lad, so I'm going to play him.
You love
got to get a pay down.
You got to get your boy in there.
Bourne. That's more a specialty tournament lineup. I think Booty is probably the safer. Like if I have to play the cashier guy, it's probably Booty, right?
It's probably maybe Yoshivas for me.
I'm down with Mims, John Marchese, but not for this, right? Mims Jr. is more of that's like let me try to win the tournament with this guy play, but I do like him. I think DeMario Douglas is actually the safest New England wide receiver to play.
There's no safe New England wide receiver, though.
Way too much New England here. Are we playing a Drake May?
Yoshivas. Give me Yoshivas.
You want to go Yoshi?
Instead of him, yeah.
Well, if we play Yoshi, this could turn into a Burrow lineup. Got to get T in there. And then 3,800 for the last spot.
Punt your tight end.
Oh. I can't find a spot. It's not working. Hunter,
what if you go?
But like,
if you go Higbee, can you upgrade Yoshivas to someone else? Probably not.
Not really.
No.
Higbee's also not attached.
It's tough with Burrow and Brown. I don't know that Burrow and Brown are going to be like an automatic pairing for me.
It should probably be.
So throw your Vidal in there. Throw your man.
And then Vidal. You got Jamar Chase with Yoshivas, Kamani.
There you go.
And then,
we need a Bronco to bring it back with, man.
I mean, I'm not playing. I'd like to get here, but it didn't fit. I'm not playing Quentin Johnston. I don't like Estime. I don't like this. I don't like any of this. So look at that. So I know what to do. It's going to be Higgins, Yoshi, a lineup that could win.
And then you go Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Sutton or Cooper.
As the bring back.
More of all right, this could win. This is an acceptable tournament lineup to me. Burrow double stacked with Higgins and Yoshi. What happened to Jamar Chase? I know. That's Ross from Friends. I know. No.
I mean, no. Could have fooled
me. We were
me.
on a break.
If my eyes were closed, I would have thought it was Ross.
We were on a break. No? All right, forget it. Burrow to Higgins and Yoshivas. Comeback with really, there's no comeback here from Denver. Comeback with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's great.
Okay, right? We got a little piece.
Look, there's a million lineups you could build. That I think that's a very solid lineup in tournaments.
That's not bad. I'll play that. I think that's an acceptable tournament lineup. Double stack Burrow, bring back. You got Kyron Williams in there. Can certainly do 10 different versions of this. I could I could spend 10 minutes right now doing 10 versions of this, and that would be my Burrow exposures for this slate. Just mix and match them up, switch around, a little switch here, a little switch there, get Chase, get Jamar Chase in there over Higgins, get Higgins and Chase going in one, make a few different versions of this. I think that works for me. Let's see here. So I think that's it, Bobbywow. I think that, that pretty much covers the slate. It's going to be a fun one. Every single quarterback is viable. All of them.
All of them.
They're all viable quarterbacks. There's their versions. So I think the best way to build here is just like, you're going to just try to build wisely around your quarterback position. If you're attacking big tournaments, just know that, again, 3-game contest. We saw it on Wednesday. No Watson, no money. Was that Wednesday or Monday? I've lost track of all time at this point. But like, if you miss the Mims play and Mims gets the big touchdown, you will not make any money here. So make sure that when you're entering tournaments, you understand exactly how it's going to go. We got a letter into DFS Army like, hey, I entered this 2-game slate and blah, 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 and I didn't make any money. If you're going to enter a 3-game slate, you need to know this is just like a showdown. If you miss that one player that puts up a 20 for 3K, you are going to lose 70 to 80% of your entry fees.
Which is why, these are the slates that are really good for MME. Find the nickel MME contest. Find the quarter MME contest.
Have fun with this.
Then you'll have the whole day to watch football. Those guys will be in your player pool, so you won't be dead if someone scores.
You know what? I'm going to show the FanDuel one. FanDuel, same difference as DraftKings, but let me find this thing here. Tournament Saturday only. I feel like there are, you sort by size, right? And here you go. Here's a nickel game. Here's a quarter game. This is how you have fun on a Saturday.
Yes. Oh, man.
Just play this, guys. Just play in these two Now, there's a fun $3 game. Put a lot of money in it. Awesome. Big prize at the top. This is the one I usually hang out in here, the Saturday Rush. But if I wanted to make not 150, but 300 lineups and get a real shot at a first place takedown, with almost no risk of losing real money, I would be maxing out this and this 300 separate and unique lineups, 1 or 2 uniques per lineup. Allow maybe 1 player versus defense, although Bobbywow not doing that saved you on Monday. On Bobby is not even talking about it. Bobby came in second on the Wednesday only slate. Bobby, you're just so humble. Humble. No. You almost got your 3rd milli.
Well, I posted my screenshot from last night. I don't know if you saw that in your channel.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Bad days happen. I'll just say that. But
there was a rough one. Yes, that's the one you show, not the second place.
No, I like showing people that what I play is what I say. So, I sucked.
Last night was brutal. Listen, if you did well last night, kudos on predicting how that game went. I didn't even lose money, by the way, because I was like down 30%, like a small loss considering what that contest was and how far off what happened ended up being from what I thought. That lineup we put in on the show actually worked out because I had Seattle defense in it, and that was the highest scoring thing that happened yesterday.
That was crazy. Yeah, and on DraftKings, there's a dime contest. The quarter is fun, and then if you want to get crazy, the 50 center has a big top prize to first. I think it's like $5,000.
That's right. I'm showing FanDuel. DraftKings does the same thing.
That's not cheap. I know it's $75 to max that thing out.
Cheap. It is cheap because you don't lose them all. But this is the same idea. $75. What's the worst that's going to happen? You lose about half of your entry fees. That's $35. The best that could happen. Let's see what the best that could happen is.
$5K in DraftKings. Its top prize is $5,000.
Yeah.
You could turn
the best that could happen is effectively winning $5,000 And the worst that can happen here is you're losing $35. So I really do want to see people entering contests like this tomorrow. If you're risk averse at all, listen, the pros, whatever. Those of you who are that, you know who you are. Jay Moore doesn't need to bother with the quarter game after his 70K NBA takedown like 2 nights ago. He's good. But for most, just play in this one. You can get lucky.
The best contest on DraftKings.
And this is, by the way, I play this too. A lot of times they open up a second one and you end up with the ability to put 300 unique lineups into a slate. Super fun. And in these contests, the way you win them is usually going to be to go over on names like Kendrick Bourne and whoever's going to be 3, 4, 7% owned that has 20-point upside. If you're 20, 25%, or if you catch the 1% Justin Watson turd, it's hard to do it. But if you even had any Justin Watson, those lineups were all like the top lineups on that one slate. Like if you just had any exposure to a 1% guy who pops like that, every single one of those lineups is going to pop. So make sure to do that. I think that's it, Bobbywow. Reminder to the crowd here and to the audience, we are coming back in a couple hours for the Sunday Tournament Tactics show with the whole round table. So it is a nonstop marathon of NFL DFS action. It just doesn't end.
It's so good though. This is great, man. 3 days of football. It does not get better. You got college bowl games on today. It's just like, this is the best sports time ever.
I love this burst of excitement. Before that, week 18 is kind of a letdown week almost always, but then we get those beautiful, beautiful first 2 weeks of the playoff. Really, all 3 weeks of the playoffs are great, but like the first 2 weeks of the playoffs are really my favorite time to play DFS. You get these double slates, 2 game, 4 game. There's so many things to play, and the teams are very predictable in the playoffs. We didn't talk about Carter. Is Carter today? Michael Carter. This was the Michael Carter thing was in case Connor and Trey Benson were out, then Michael Carter was going to be a thing.
If they're both out, sure. I think at least one of those guys is going to suit up, and it's looking like Connor will suit up too.
Yeah, it's once they're in, this becomes completely.
This was one of those scenarios, right, where we said you got to hit the pause on this scenario until we know exactly.
Yeah, I actually thought we might be playing him, and John Marchese, great call. The playoffs. The best ball player, I've already worked out the strategy. I got to create a spreadsheet to show everybody, and I will teach exactly how to do playoff best ball. I have not studied the DraftKings scoring. I studied Underdog. If DraftKings is the same, that'll be easier because I'll cover both.
I've studied DraftKings. We'll have to put our heads together then.
Nice. It's very formulaic. Bobby and I then are going to be back we'll break it down together. We'll do a best ball strategy content. That's coming next week. I don't believe in drafting those teams ahead of knowing, for the most part, who's going to be the bye week. I need to know who the bye team is, or I cannot draft.
And really, seeding overall is critically important.
Yeah, but the bye week is the most important.
Bye week's most important, but seeding on DraftKings is my guy.
I need to know. Yep. Little spoiler on the playoff on the best ball show, and this is if you just understand this, you will understand how playoff best ball works. There are 2 things. One, the scores are not cumulative. You reset every single week, which is a thing that people don't understand. Whatever you did week 1 is irrelevant for week 2. You've got to just get through your pod each week. Number 2, you will not win if you don't have every single spot covered in the Super Bowl. So if you don't have all 5,
that's why seeding matters.
Fuck yeah, you got to be you have to understand NFC and AFC teams. You've got to make sure that every single lineup has at least 5 players that can end up in the Super Bowl. And wait, there's more, and this is where it gets nuts. One of them better be a quarterback, and one of them needs to be a running back, or you're fucked. You can't take a 0. You will not win. So if you can get 6 in the Super Bowl, that's the edge. You need
to build around scenarios based on seeding where you have all guys that make it to weeks 3 and 4.
Yes. And that means a spreadsheet. I need to know Bills plus this, Bills plus
Bills,
that. Bills.
No rant, Bills, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And AFC, NFC.
I've got something.
It takes a lot of brain power to do it, Bobbywow. Like you have to be really thinking I don't think I can slow draft them. I might have to exclusively draft with I don't know how many I'll have time to do.
There are no slow drafts on DraftKings. It's all fast.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I don't know how many of them I'll have actual time to do but I want to do 150 because I feel like if we execute the strategy, you will win the tournament. If you can execute it we need like a robot. We need Burns actually in his robotic mind doing this.
It's crazy. You know, people are panic draft. I don't know if you tried one draft. I did a draft the other day. People panic draft. And, you know, there's also been 30,000 entries already submitted to the DraftKings main contest. That's no idea of seeding.
Yeah. They think they're getting an edge, but they're not. Those teams are going to be dead. They're not even going to make it to the end. I love that shit. What they're trying to do is trying to guess who these other playoff teams will be, and like you can get them a couple rounds later. So
that's if they're sharp and they understand what the rules are, which most of them probably don't.
I think a lot do at this point. A lot do. Yeah, I mean, but a lot don't. It's even when you do understand. I'm telling you, when you're doing it, if you're not mentally full focused on what you're doing, you're going to fuck it up anyway. You're going to look at your lineup and realize, oh my God, I don't have 5 players or 6 players that could potentially be in the Super Bowl at the same time. That means 4 from the AFC and 2 or 3 from the NFC or 3 and 3. If you don't have those combinations, you're dead. You have no chance. It's really fun. I love it. But it does require a spreadsheet. You'll see. We'll get into it. And maybe we'll create that spreadsheet before that show. And maybe we'll even
share it.
Make your own fucking sheet.
No, maybe we'll share it. Who knows?
Maybe. All right. We'll think about it.
All right.
All right. We'll see you guys back here at 5 p.m. today for Tournament Tactics Sunday main slate edition. I love the main slate for Sunday, Bobbywow. I've already done my sheet. It's finished.
Jeez,
exciting.
Wow.
I almost only had 2 quarterbacks on it. Almost did that. And then I was like, nah, I'll add some. But I almost went just 2. Almost went just 1.
I can't wait to hear.
It was almost going to be a Baker freaking Christmas.
Okay, save it.
All right.
Don't give it away.
Fine. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Good luck. Helmets up on Saturday. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year and all that good stuff. Later.